Hello, my name is Bunny Williams. I'm a master gardener in Sussex County, Delaware. Today we're going to talk about lasagna gardening. I was at a yard sale and saw this book by Patricia Lanza. It caught my eye because lasagna was always my signature dish for company, and gardening because I was in the Master Garden program at that time. So my eyes went down to the bottom of the page and it says a new layering system for bountiful gardens. No digging, no tilling, no weeding, no kidding. I was hooked. We wanted to start a garden at home. We live in a densely wooded property, and so we had some problems to solve. Number one, the clearing was very small, barely 6 hours of sun a day. The soil was very poor, and it was very low and stayed very wet all the time. Lasagna gardening has many advantages. It uses less water, there's less weeding, no tilling or digging. A stool will allow sitting instead of getting down on your hands and knees. So what should we put in our lasagna garden? What are the ingredients? Let's be creative. For the pasta, we'll use cardboard and newspaper. For the sauce, water. For the meat, let's use peat, compost, and garden soil. For the cheese, we'll use straw and leaves. And the seasonings will be blood meal, bone meal, wood ashes, and lime. Don't forget the veggies. We need corn cobs, clippings of pine needles, grass, leaves, sawdust, and even seaweed. Please step into my garden. We start with a layer of cardboard. Next came the newspaper. Now a nice thick layer of straw. Add some peat. I should add here that every time we did a layer, we watered it well. What we often do is in Seaford, people put their yard clippings out on the curb. This one was a bonanza. Some lady had her whole lot cleaned, and there was all sorts of stuff in there. And one thing I do want to note, though, we don't take clippings if people have a really nice manicured lawn. That means they've probably used chemicals, and we don't want to introduce them into our garden. More layers. A nice layer of garden soil helps a lot. To keep the lasagna garden neat and tidy, we had some very heavy corrugated that we put around the perimeter. Then we drove some rebar into the ground to keep it steady and straight. We put more cardboard on the top and put some weights on it. That was to keep out you know who, looking at that nice big pile of dirt. This is a drawing of my first lasagna garden. I strongly suggest that you get a soil test done before you start fertilizing in the spring. You can see all the layers that we used, starting from cardboard at the bottom. By the time we got to the middle, it was peat and straw, and the very top was mulch. It was 68 inches by 50 inches by 29 inches high. We wet each layer thoroughly before going to the next. We also used large containers to plant herbs and spices, things like that. And over on the edges, you can see cardboard. And we layered that all over the garden to keep the weeds down. This is another container, and it has an eggplant in it. So now you see the other side of the garden with all sorts of large pots with things growing in it. That was a really good way to use the garden, even though the soil was so poor. More plants and more plants. It was a really good year for that garden. These cages are for the tomato plants, and they grew super in there. We found these pallets at the recycling center. It was really great to have them because it kept everything up off the ground, so nothing got too wet. This is what's known as free labor. I couldn't do all this without the help of my husband. This is a cold frame that he built, and we actually use the lasagna gardening method to fill up the frame. This is the rear of the cold frame, and it's sort of overbuilt. It's the lid to it was so heavy that he had to put counterweights on the back, or it was going to knock me out if it fell down. But it worked all winter. It was great to have greens all winter long. Suppose you don't have a lot of room, but you've got some cardboard and can make a frame. I call this a linguine garden because it's so thin, and it worked really well also. In front of the garage, we had a place where we could put some plants, and we again used the lasagna method, and these marigolds were just jumping right out of there. It was really great soil. And this is in the spring the following year, the little pansies just smiling up at you. This is the sedum. We started these from little teeny tiny plants, and they have just thrived in that terrible soil. There's no stopping them. They're great. Then on top of the pallets, my husband built some little steps, and we put the pepper plants and some of the seasonings in there, and it grew really well. One thing I will tell you, if you're going to use a 5-gallon bucket, don't put holes down in the bottom. Put them up on the sides about 2 inches from the bottom so that they can drain well. This might be my favorite container. It was a horse trough, and my husband saw it at the junkyard. The bottom was rusted out, and so he brought it home. And again, we built a lasagna garden, and the tomatoes just loved it. People ask me all the time, where do I get the cardboard? Well, all I have to do is go out in the garage, and I must have 50 boxes just like this. And all you have to do is pull it apart on the corner and lay it flat. It works great. The worms love cardboard. This is the very end of the presentation. Thank you for your kind attention. Have a good day.